Hello, I'm Sid Scott.
And I'm Mistress Gray. We're a husband and wife duo who like to talk about stuff, usually geeky stuff.
Today we'll be doing a comparison with Scary Godmother, the book, and the TV special.
So watch us, it'll be fun.
Let's go over some of the background information. Jill Thompson is an artist that has worked on several comics, such as Sandman and The Invisibles. She mostly enjoyed working on these, so she really enjoys collaborating with people. But she also prefers having control and being able to choose the collaborations when she wants. So it's not surprising that she would start working on a project where she had more control. In 1997, the first iteration of her Scary Godmother series would be published.
And that was the year I was born, so great year. Perfect year.
Then in 2003, a TV special named Scary Godmother Halloween Spectacular, which was based on the books, was released outside of the United States. Then in 2004, it was premiering on Cartoon Network. Kind of a bit weird to release it out in the United States, since Halloween feels a bit so Americanized, even with its Irish roots. I mean, I've seen manga characters dress up in Halloween costumes for cover arts and things like that, but I haven't really run into anything more substantial than that. But I mean, I guess a quick look at Google suggests that other countries do celebrate it, so if you are watching this and you do know of any Halloween specials or movies or books that are made in other countries, please tell us about it. With this particular special, Jill Thompson worked closely with the Mainframe Entertainment, which is the studio that helped make the special. She co-wrote the script. She was also the one who decided the special should be in 3D rather than 2D. She made that particular decision because, in her own words, "I wanted it because I'm the one doing 2D. Nobody else should be doing 2D, just me." The reasoning on that seems a little cringy. We'll get into our thoughts on the decision itself when we talk more about the special directly. But, to her credit, she did commit to the decision, helping to make sculptures. These sculptures would then be used to help build the 3D models. Well, let's just see how well that hard work paid off and how the special compares to the book. There will be spoiler warnings for the book and the special, but they've also been out for a year, so have fun with that.
The main plot for both the book and the movie are basically the same. You have this little girl named Hannah Marie, who, fun fact, is named after Jill's niece, is going trick-or-treating with big kids. She's a bit excited and a bit scared, and so her parents give her a flashlight and tell her that it will keep the monsters away. But what Hannah should really be scared about isn't the monsters, but the big kids, because they, mainly instigated by her cousin Jimmy, don't want to trick-or-treat with the little kid. So they trick her into going into a creepy house, hoping to scare her so badly that she begs to go home. Though this plan backfires spectacularly, or should I say spooktacularly, when, in the creepy house, Hannah meets her scary godmother. Her scary godmother then introduces her to things that go bump in the night and help her to see the fun in Halloween. Then, Hannah and her new friends scare the wits out of the big kids, only for Hannah to swoop in and save them. It occurs to me that this plot is basically a kid-friendly version of a revenge film. While the book and the movie keep the same major plot points, there's a ton of little differences between the two, such as how in the book Hannah stays in the same creepy house throughout the whole story, but in the special, Hannah gets taken to what is basically just the Halloween dimension, which honestly is pretty freaking cool, because they fly on a broomstick and go through a jack-o'-lantern cloud to get there. Like, that is just epic, man.
One of the differences I want to touch upon between the two adaptations is in the book, Jimmy didn't want to go trick-or-treating with Hannah Marie because she walked too slow. Whereas in the movie, it was more or less just because they would just want to get more candy themselves. I mean, in the long run, the points are kind of the same. It just kind of established it a bit better in the book, with how slow Hannah Marie was going, giving Jimmy a little more incentive. And it shows just more of how Jimmy's just a kid punk.
Another difference is what goes on with the trick on Hannah Marie. In both versions, the kids lie and tell her that the new kid has to give candy to the monsters or the monsters will eat all the kids. In the book, the kids follow her to the basement door where she leaves the candy, and then they just leave her there to, freak her out. But in the movie, they let her go in and then hold the door closed so she thinks she's stuck in the house. And of course there she starts crying and all that, as you would if you thought you were stuck in a haunted house when you were like a little kid. But it's just kind of weird because that seems so counterintuitive. Like, oh, you want her to come out screaming so she'll ask to go home so you won't have to deal with her. But you trick her into thinking she's stuck there so she just stays there. Like, what were you expecting, kids? I don't think these are the brightest kids on the block. Okay, next let's talk about structure. The book has a bit of a weird structure as it's sort of a combo of a children's book and a comic at the same time, because like it will have narration next to beautiful pictures, but it will also make regular use of word balloons. The structure of the book is also a bit more consistent, with Hannah meeting someone or meeting a monster and learning something, then moving on to the next person or next character. The movie has Hannah meet all the monster characters and then just kind of hang out with them and have a dance montage with them. And this is fine for the most part, since me and Scott really did enjoy the characters, but towards the middle we started kind of wishing the characters would do more or get back to the point or something. We were kind of like Jimmy and his friends waiting outside the haunted house, waiting for something to happen. Also, there's this one weird scene in the beginning of the movie where the kids act out a flashback rather than just having the scene happen like it did in the book. I mean, it was fun, but it was kind of jarring and had me going kind of,
how did you know about the parts you weren't there for?
Okay, now let's move on to characters. The characters in the book are charming, mostly due to the expressive artwork. I particularly like Jimmy's evil Grinch smile, and the fact that Scary Godmother constantly strikes poses. However, there's not much to these characters due to how short the story is. And while the special is short, not even being an hour long, it's still longer than the book and makes the most of the time given. I mean, these kids feel like real kids with how dumb some of the stuff they can do is.
Now, my creatures of the night!
Sorry to interrupt, Jimmy, but I'm not really a creature of the night. I'm a baseball player. And I'm a piece of candy!
Don't look at me. I'm a full-fledged creature of the night! Roar!
The special also has more characters, and for the most part, they play off each other in really fun ways.
Do you sleep in a coffin?
Sure, I've slept in my own coffin since I was 3. You mean you still share a coffin with your parents?
No! I mean, yes. I don't sleep in a coffin at all.
You're homeless?
Hannah is also a sweet main character. Hannah in the book sees monsters are not scary by the end, but movie Hannah does that, but also gets braver throughout the story.
See anything you want to eat?
And Scary Godmother is the cool aunt we all wish we had. One of our favorite side characters was Scully. He's the gay skeleton in the closet. I bet it took them a long time to come up with that joke. Like, I know he's a gay stereotype, but he's also just kind of nice and fun. Like, when all the other monsters are scaring the kids at the end, he kind of just does a dance and the kids clap for him, which is just kind of fun. What did you think, Scott?
I mean, even the side characters knew that he was probably the better character of everyone.
I also like the vampire kid, Orson. Like, he kind of looks like a mashup between the two main kids from The Little Vampire. He and Hannah were really fun together, and also as a kid, I kind of shipped them. I don't know why. Also, the pizza delivery guy in this one scene was entertaining as crap for how little he was in it.
Of course, you could oversign for it.
No. Sorry. My soul is worth more than 12 pizzas.
But not all the characters in this special are winners. One character added to the movie was a werewolf named Harry, and he's just the worst. Like, he's a jerk and a glutton, always trying to leech off others and acting pretentious about all the plays he's seen, yet he doesn't know enough to realize that Hannah is not an actress from one of those said plays. The most fun I got out of him was when the Vampire King Max hypnotized him and everyone just messed with him. If the characters don't like him. Why are they even letting him into the party is what I kept asking myself. How did you feel about him, Scott? Was he just the worst for you?
I mean, he's kind of like when you think about Scooby-Doo, but get rid of all the charm of Scooby-Doo, and just keep the stealing food, and that's all he has to his personality.
I hated him. One thing that kind of surprised me about this special was how much we laughed at it. Like, all the jokes are like these little funny quick gags that are clearly aimed at kids, but they kept getting me. What about you? What did you think of the humor in this, Scott?
Honestly, I appreciated it. They would do some of the more entertaining bits. I mean, I won't say every joke exactly works, but for what it tries to do, I think is pretty solid.
I demand a recount! That's still one vote for everyone.
Okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room. The animation and the art style of the special is very interesting. Like, it clearly owes a lot to older 2D cartoons. Like, for example, Jimmy's head grows huge when he's angry. And this reminded me a lot of like how 2D cartoons would like have huge heads when they were angry or in pain or something to express that exaggerated emotion. This probably helped it stand out compared to other 2004 CGI movies that really didn't do the whole stretchy cartoon bit. Heck, even The Incredibles, which came out about in 2004, did have a character that could stretch, an Elastigirl, but even that was more realistic movement and weight than just suddenly giant head to express giant emotion. And yeah, doing a quick comparison with other 3D movies from around the same time, it definitely stands out. But being unique doesn't necessarily mean good. Now, it's not bad, but the technology was clearly a still work in progress. And they clearly didn't have the budget of a Pixar movie, which, I mean, it's perfectly understandable. We all wish we had personal budgets of Pixar movies for ourselves. But even just looking at little things in the movie, like say how Scary Godmother's hand interacts with her tutu, or how the fur on all the furry characters just looks off, it hasn't aged the best. Also, the movements of the people are fun and exaggerated, but I couldn't help but think how funnier they would have been in 2D, or sharper 3D, or if the 3D had been altered in some way. And also, the designs are great, but they looked better in the book. Back in that 2D was clearly where they shined the most. Like, Bugaboo's looked so much better in the book, but in the special, his lips kind of freak me out with how they hang off the sides. And this movie is full of uncanny valley effects. Like those freaky little beady eyes the kids have that change size. Like, they don't really work, except for maybe Jimmy, because he's meant to kind of be a creep and a punk. Also, the backgrounds look more traditionally cartoony due to their outlines, and the characters themselves don't have outlines, which creates this kind of jarring effect. Like, it does make the characters pop, but it doesn't necessarily mean they pop in a great way. I know at the time it was different, which is probably why Jill Thompson said she thought the CGI looked really cool, but it's not that great. And this sort of 2D and 3D style mashup has been proven to work, such as in Telltale's Batman series or their Wolf Among series, but that's not what they went for here, and it just doesn't work. Also, not super important, but Scary Godmother's design looks like Jill Thompson herself, and when asked about this, Jill Thompson had the best response. I mean, I look like a wish for gosh sakes. I've been told that since I was a little kid. I'm a classical witch. Okay, Scott, what's your final takeaway from the versus movie comparison?
I feel like they have their own strengths on both sides. We have a lot more characterization in the movie, and a lot more charm that came with the characters. But at the same time, the book is a lot better paced, and honestly, is a lot easier to read and have to really have a chunk full of.
I like them both, and I think they're both great for kids. And if you want to get them for yourself or for your kids, I'll leave some links in the description. If you get them through there, we'll get a chunk of the profits. Gotta get that money somehow, I guess. Okay, what was your worst and best thing, though, Scott?
I think the best thing was just the more characterization they added to Scully in the movie. I mean, yes, in a general term, he was a gay stereotype, but at the same time, he was just extremely charming and had so many just good moments.
Okay, but what about your worst thing?
Harry.
Okay, my best thing is the added character development. I shouldn't say character development, I should say added characterization of the characters, because they're just so much fun. And yes, my worst thing is also Harry. They needed just to burn him out of the script. Like, burn him with fire out of that script. And I don't think the story would have lost much for it. Oh, I think that's about it. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and ring our bell, babies! You want to say goodbye, Scott?
Bye-bye.